Did you know that this closure right here is 381 years old? This here is called the Pankou, and it's otherwise known as the Chinese frog closure. And it came from the royals and commoners of the Qing dynasty. And today, I'm gonna show you how to make it. And here's everything you need. First, we have a ruler. We will have some satin fabric, pair of fabric scissors. We'll have a thimble, chalk, loop turner, needle and thread. To help you out, we have threaders. We have a pin backing, a little felt backing. This should come included into your kit. You'll also need a pair of tweezers and a lighter. That works. So first things first, let's go ahead and make our bias tapes. So we just want to go ahead and iron out our fabric. So I'll get my spray starch and just coat the entire thing. Like so. You don't have to get much. You can even use scrap fabric that you have sitting around in your house from your leftover projects. And that's the beauty of it. So I'm putting this on silk setting, or you can do it on polyester. Make sure that it is on synthetic and not at the highest setting. So I'm just running this over so that it dries up with the heat of my iron. And it becomes stiff that way. And use some steam to help you along. But you see, as it dries up with the steam, with the iron, it starts to get stiff, and that's what we want. And for some stubborn spots, you can turn up the heat a little bit, but you want to be careful. And now you can feel the texture. It's starting to get a little bit more stiff, especially the parts that dries with the starch and the iron. So you want to dry that part up. If it's wet, you want to make sure it's dry. You can really start to feel the stiffness of the starch, and that's how you know it's working. So I have this part done, and it's nice and dry. You can really hear it. See? Kind of sounds like when you shake paper around. So we're going to fold this like a triangle. Like so, okay? I'm going to take this corner and line it up with this corner right here. And then we'll press this side flat, like so. So now that we have this, we're going to take our chalk and our ruler. And we're going to line this up right here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and mark this right on the edge, like so. Boom. Now we're going to take our scissors. Now the thing when it comes to cutting with scissors, we want to make sure it's 90-degree angle, hands down, push forward, push and glide forward. Okay, so all together. We'll go ahead and cut on this line that we just drew, right on the edge of this fold right here. And boom, there you have it. A nice little triangle. Is that it? No. So we're gonna go ahead and open this up and cut it right down the middle here. Again, moving forward with a sliding position right on the fold line that we created. Okay, now that we have this, you're going to see a shiny side and a matte side, okay? What you want to do is you want to make sure that the shiny side is facing each other. So aka what we call the right sides are together. So that means this shiny side, this is the bias, this is the stretchy part, and this is the non-stretchy part. You see? This part doesn't stretch, this part doesn't stretch. This part doesn't stretch, this part doesn't stretch, okay? What we want to do is make sure that our non-stretchy parts are overlapping each other like so. And we want to sew this down 1/4 of an inch. And we're overlapping just a little bit, about 1/4 inch. There's going to be a little bit extra at the end here, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, so we'll go ahead and sew this part down. So we'll go ahead and sew it down at 1/4 inch seam allowance. And we always want for the fabric to be on our left side, the majority of our fabric to be on the left side. Okay. And we take the pins out as we're sewing down, because you don't want to sew over your pins, hurt yourself, and the needle breaks and it busts in your face. And there we have it. 1/4 inch all the way down. We're going to go ahead and press what we just sewn together, and we're going to open the seam up. I'm gonna flip it over and press it down on this side as well. There we have it. For our next step, we're going to go ahead and draw 1-inch lines all across the bias. Remember I told you this part, this little extra piece doesn't matter? We're gonna go ahead and trim this off right here. I'm gonna place this part down and place this part down. You see how they line up? The lines line up with each other? Okay, we're gonna slide this part up so that it connects and overlaps slightly, 1/4 inch. Now when we piece it together like so, you'll see that some of the lines will overlap, and that's perfectly fine. We want for this to overlap 1/4 inch. You see how they overlap 1/4 inch? If I were to have this line right here overlap with this here, 1/4 inch, the rest should also line up accordingly. When it's lined up properly, it looks like this. So we're gonna go ahead and iron this out as well. Now I like to use a blunt object. You can use the end of a scissor, something not too sharp where it will cut it. I like to go ahead and press this down so that it can open up with ease. So as we can tell, there is a little bit of unevenness when it comes to this line here. So what we do is we go in here with our ruler and make sure that the line evens out like so, because we want for this to be about 1 inch like so. You can use a chalk because this side isn't really going to show as much. So as you can tell, we're evening and blending this out. So we'll go ahead and cut. And as long as it is 1 inch away from each other, you're good. You're in the gold. And as you can tell, we're already getting the 1 inch all the way across. Now you have this. You would do this twice, one with one color and one with another. You want to make it dual color, but for the sake of the video, we'll just go ahead and use this color. I'll go for the sake of maybe messing up accidentally. I'll make sure to do 30 inches of bias tape. So what that looks like is we're going to go ahead and grab our ruler here. I have an 18-inch ruler, so I know that 15. Also, you want to make sure that this right here is straight. Okay, so we'll cut that off. Boom, straight. So we know that 15 plus 15 is 30, so I'll go ahead and mark 15 inches here. And that is 15 inches. Make sure not to pull it too much, otherwise you stretch the fabric. So I'll have 15-inch strip, okay, and then I'll have another 15-inch strip like this. I want to make sure I have 2. That's 30-inch strip. Now, for the sake of the video, I'm going to use a contrasting thread. Usually you would use the same color thread of your bias tapes, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the shiny side together, okay? That means the wrong side of the fabric, the part where you see the thread like so, would be facing on the outside. It's what you see. So that means the right sides of the fabric face together, and we're going to go ahead and sew this down at 1/4 inch from the edge here. Okay, we want to make sure that everything lays flat. So we'll pin from the side, starting from the beginning, and also at the parts where it opens up, like the seams here, so that we keep it flat and it doesn't want to jut up by itself. So I'm going to sew it down at 1/4 inch. As we're sewing, we're going to go ahead and backstitch like so. Sewing down at 1/4 inch. I want to keep this part flat, okay, like so. Once again, and backstitch. Okay, so we're going to flip it around, and then on the edge of our presser foot right here, we're going to use that as our guide, okay? Now we can also sew it down at 1/2 inch, but I prefer to use this guide right here. So this thread that we just made, we want to line that up against the presser foot. Be careful not to go too far out or too far in. We want for this to be pretty continuous throughout. And there we have it. We have our bias tape. We want to come as close to the thread as possible. Okay, not too close. We want it about 1/8 of an inch away, like so. Just trim it down so that we reduce the bulk, so that when we go in and flip it inside out, like how we did at the workshop, it doesn't get stuck. So we'll come as close as possible to the thread, 1/8 of an inch away. You see how small that is? Boom, that's one side. Now we go over to the 1/4 inch and we're going to cut that part in half. Again, getting as close to the edge as possible, not too close to where you cut the thread. Okay, you don't want to cut the thread, then the whole thing will come loose. Some parts are a little bulkier than others, so you want to be careful on those points right there. And we can just snip that part off. Now, this should look pretty familiar. Next, we're going to take our loop turner. Okay, we're going to open this side up. There's a little flap in between right here. Okay, we're gonna open that up, stick that through from the bottom. Like so. And come all the way to the top. As you get to the top, we want to only have the little hook appear. And then we're going to slide it up, have the little metal flap, push through the fabric, like so. It's going to push through the fabric. You have to use your thumb a little here. There we go. It comes out like so. You see? Now, it wants to close. It wants to close on this fabric right here. So we're going to push that up. And then we're going to pull. And you should feel a little gap. There we go. And now it's through. Okay, now we're going to go a little bit at a time, not too harsh all at once. Otherwise, it'll tear. Sometimes it gets stuck and we have to use something sharp to push it through. And go a little bit at a time, like a little sock. Because it's so thin, usually if you sticker it'd be a little easier, but because it's so thin, we just want to be really careful not to break the edges. So we'll pull a little bit at a time. Pull, inch, 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 pull, inch, 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 pull, inch, 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 pull, inch, and pull. And there we have it. Does this look familiar? And if it's stubborn like that, you can just trim it off. And that's why we did 30. Okay, so we'll go ahead and trim this side off, like so. Just trim it off. Okay. So, here we have it. And then, let's go ahead and press it flat. Now, there is a technique that I like to use, and I call it feed it through. And we quite literally feed it through the iron like so. And we want to make sure that it's nice and flat throughout. Kind of like ironing your hair. After we've measured everything out, we're gonna go ahead and take our lighter and burn the edges like so. So it's nice and neat. It doesn't fray on the sides. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Nice and neat, and it doesn't fray. Now that we have everything sewn together, we're gonna go ahead and measure out 4.5 inch. Okay, that's 4.5. Okay, we're going to measure out 8 inches from that point. Boom, there's 8 inches. From 8 inches, we're going to measure out 13.5. It's 13 and a half. Okay. Now that we have that, we're gonna go ahead and trim the rest of this off. Boom. Now we're gonna go ahead and line up the 4.5 inch mark and the 8.5 inch mark. Now we're gonna go ahead and line that up together and find the absolute center. And we'll go ahead and mark that as well. Boom. Okay, so now that we have this, we're gonna go ahead and place a loop like so. Okay, the easiest way to do this is to twist towards you. Twist the right side. Sorry, let's have the long side facing our left side. And we're going to twist the short side towards us, like so. There's loop 1. Now we're going to twist the other side away from us, like so. Away with our right hand, away from us. And that's loop 2. Okay? Now that we have 2 loops, we're going to place loop 2 on top of loop 1, like so. Now we have 3 loops, 3 holes. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to take the back loop, aka the long side, the long strand right here, and go through the first loop like so, top, down. Okay, we're going to make sure that this doesn't get crossed over. Top, down. Now, from this side, go up, like so. Now, go down through hole number 3. And make sure that all the colors are facing one side. So you don't want it to twist like so, okay? So you want it to be all one side, okay? Now, on top of this flap, there's a little square on top of this right here, okay? There's a little square that we can see. Now it forms some kind of a bowl, correct? There's a little square. We're going to go ahead and enter the back through the square. Now we're going to take the front piece, the little short piece, and go over this right here. Okay, we're going to go through that same square, that same little hole. Okay, now that we have that, we're going to make sure that they both face pink on the outside, like so. Now it's pink on the outside and it overlaps each other, correct? Now we're going to push this forward, and you see it creates some kind of a loop, like so. Pinch it, and push forward. Boom. And it creates this loop here. And this is perfectly fine, okay? Now that we have this loop at the top, we're going to go in from the sides and take our tweezers and start pulling counterclockwise on the fabric that lines up with each other, like so. We're going to go in one at a time and rotate our little knot. As we start pulling, eventually it'll lead to the bottom of the tails, and you'll pull on the bottom of the tails and the loop will shrink. Now we're going to keep doing this over and over again until the loop starts to get tighter and tighter. Now keep going until the knot starts to look like a little ball. And when it's tight enough, it'll get difficult to get your tweezers under the straps. And when it's tight and like a round little ball, that's how you know you're finished. So now that we have this knot here, if you want the center part to be bigger, you can leave it out longer, or you could just go ahead and trim it off at 4.5. I'll go ahead and trim it off at 4.5. Now, for the long end here, we're going to go ahead and measure this out 13 inches, 13.5 inches. We're going to mark every inch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.5. Okay, so I'm going to count this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.5. Okay, it is a little bit longer, and that's perfectly okay. We'll go ahead and snip that off here. So we're going to go ahead and start with the flower center. Okay, on our short side, if I were to hold it open like this, I'm going to roll the end of the short side inwards with my tweezer. So I'll go ahead and make sure that the center doesn't roll out. And then I'll just roll this inward towards the center, towards the knot. Keep it nice and tight, like so. So you'll have this nice little loop right here. And we're gonna put a pin in it so that we save the space. And we can just stab it through, like so.